First, listen what Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders said at the Century Farm ceremony this week. The banks can't lend, the parts store doesn't sell, the equipment dealer has to go out and repossess, the land sits untouched, and eventually there's no food left on Arkansas tables. But here's what Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders won't tell you. Since December 2024, Arkansas has held over 60 farm equipment auctions. That's not farmers upgrading equipment. That's farmers liquidating everything they own to pay creditors. Generational farms being sold piece by piece. Tractors, combines, grain haulers, land, everything. Meet the Hall brothers, 10th generation farmers in Northeast Arkansas. At their peak, farming 10,000 acres across Poinsett, Craighead, Jackson, and Cross counties. 3 decades in business. And in 2025, they couldn't get a crop loan. Not because they were bad farmers, not because they mismanaged, because no lender would extend them credit. So they harvested their last crop in 2024 and are now waiting to see if they'll have to file for bankruptcy. And in the next 7 minutes, you're going to discover why Chapter 12 farm bankruptcies in Arkansas exploded 96% in a single quarter. Why Arkansas now accounts for over a quarter of all farm bankruptcies in the entire nation. And why Governor Sanders has been traveling the state giving speeches about the worst farm crisis in generations while offering 0 state emergency funds to help. Because while Sanders talks about helping farmers in any way we can, the only thing Arkansas has actually done is exempt federal disaster payments from state taxes. That's not giving farmers money. That's just letting them keep slightly more of money they haven't even received yet. This isn't leadership. This is abandonment wrapped in photo ops and empty promises. Let me take you back to 2022. Hall Brothers Farm is having the best year in memory. High commodity prices, good yields. Everything's looking fantastic. They're expanding, investing, building for the future. This is what 30 years of hard work looks like paying off. Then 2023 hits. Commodity prices start falling. Input costs stay elevated. The margins get tighter, but it's manageable. Everyone assumes it's temporary. Markets cycle, this too shall pass. 2024 arrives. Prices fall further. Fertilizer still expensive. Diesel still high. Interest rates at 7% when they were near 0 just 3 years ago. The Halls are losing money per acre. They need the bank to extend more credit to get through the season. The bank looks at their balance sheet, looks at commodity prices, looks at the market forecast, and says, no. So in 2024, the Hall brothers harvest their last crop after 3 decades, after 10 generations on the land. Not because they wanted to quit, because the financial system won't support them anymore. And they're not alone. Arkansas Chapter 12 farm bankruptcies: 45 in Q1 2024, 88 in Q1 2025. That's a 96% increase in 1 quarter. And according to Ryan Loy, extension economist with the University of Arkansas, we've already beat last year in terms of national filings. It's a clear sign that financial pressures that we saw before in the 2018 and 19 are kind of re-emerging. But it's worse than 2018-19, because in the 2010s, Arkansas accounted for 20 to 22% of Chapter 12 bankruptcies in the 8th District Court. By 2021, that dropped to just 5%. But now, Arkansas is 26.8% of all district filings, and that's with 3/4 of data still to come. So here's your dopamine cap. You expected Arkansas agriculture to stay strong, the breadbasket of America. Farmers who survived the Depression and the 1980s farm crisis would survive this too. But reality? 1 in 3 Arkansas farms will close by spring of 2026 without federal emergency aid. And your governor is begging Washington for help while refusing to use Arkansas's own resources. Let's talk about what's actually happening on the ground. Because while Sanders gives speeches about supporting agriculture, Arkansas farmers are liquidating at a pace not seen in decades. Over 60 farm auctions since December 2024. That's documented Chapter 7 liquidations, not Chapter 12 reorganizations, where farmers try to restructure debt and stay in business. Chapter 7 means it's over. Assets get sold, creditors get paid, the farm dies. Joel Hargis, a bankruptcy attorney in Jonesboro, told the Arkansas Times, "The amount of bankruptcy cases I am managing in 2025 is staggering." And he's not exaggerating. Jake Fair with Wright Lindsay Jennings, who represents creditors, says he's seen more Chapter 12 cases recently than his 11 years of practice. It's gotten so bad that Lion Legal, a Little Rock law firm known for punny animal advertisements, recently placed a billboard advertising bankruptcy services in Lonoke County, near a rice mill. They're targeting farmers directly because they know the wave is coming. But here's the detail that should haunt every agriculture supporter. Young farmers won't show up in the bankruptcy statistics. According to Rep. Deanne Vaught, who chairs the House Agriculture Subcommittee and farms herself, some of these young people will just say, "I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to risk my land. I'm not going to put up my house. I'm just going to try to get a job at the bank or sell tractors or steel or whatever. Just something else besides farming before it gets to bankruptcy." So those farmers are going out, quitting, walking away from generational knowledge and family land. But they won't be reflected in bankruptcy numbers. They'll just disappear. And Arkansas agriculture will lose an entire generation of producers without anyone even noticing. But the clearest indicator of this collapse isn't bankruptcy filings or auctions. It's what farmers aren't buying. According to Scott Stiles, extension economist with the UA Division of Agriculture, farmers' number one response to the crisis is holding off on capital purchases right now. The Association of Equipment Manufacturers' latest report confirms it. Tractor sales down 13% year over year. Combine sales down 48%. Think about what that means. Combines cost $400,000 to $600,000. When combine sales drop 48%, that's not a minor slowdown. That's farmers saying, "I can't justify buying new equipment when I'm losing hundreds of dollars per acre." And as Stiles explains, there's a downstream impact on other segments in ag industry. Your input suppliers, your equipment dealers, anybody who provides a service to farmers is impacted by this too. Equipment dealers are struggling, parts stores losing business, agricultural aviators not getting hired, grain elevators processing less volume, small-town banks facing loan portfolios going delinquent. And when rural towns lose their economic base, entire communities die. Ryan Loy summarized it perfectly. If the farmers are hurting, those communities are going to hurt too. So what has Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders actually done about this crisis? Let's be very specific. October 14, 2025, Delta Farm visit. Sanders tours a cotton farm in Lake City, operates a cotton picker, visits the gin, and says, "Arkansas alone, our row croppers are anticipating about a $1.4 billion loss this year, and we cannot allow our farmers to be anything other than successful, and so we want to help in any way we can." In any way we can. Great. So what did Arkansas do? Nothing. Zero state emergency funds allocated. December 5th, 2025, Farm Bureau Convention. Sanders speaks in Hot Springs at the 91st Arkansas Farm Bureau State Convention. Her message is, the bottom line is, our farmers are hurting. As we face down one of the worst farm crises in generations, losing the ability to feed ourselves is simply not an option. And then she closes with this. President Trump absolutely loves our farmers and is working hard to announce support to help you overcome the hardships that you face this year. President Trump, not Governor Sanders, not the state of Arkansas. She's literally telling desperate farmers to wait for federal help that may never come. What Sanders has actually done? Act 696, signed in 2025, exempts federal disaster relief payments from Arkansas state income tax. This means when farmers eventually receive federal aid, they won't pay Arkansas taxes on it. That's helpful, but it doesn't give farmers money now, it just lets them keep slightly more of money they haven't even received yet. What Sanders has not done: allocated state emergency disaster funds for farmers, created state-level loan programs to help farmers access credit, declared a state of emergency for agriculture, used Arkansas's budget surplus to provide direct relief. And when agricultural leaders asked state legislators if Arkansas could help, Rep. Stephen Meeks said, "We can't print money like the federal government." Translation: Arkansas will not use its own resources to save its #1 industry. So here's where we are. Arkansas agriculture, which generates $24.3 billion annually and is the state's #1 industry, is collapsing. Chapter 12 bankruptcies up 96% in one quarter. Over 60 farm auctions since December. Arkansas accounting for over a quarter of all national farm bankruptcies. Equipment sales cratering. Young farmers quitting before bankruptcy. The Har brothers, 10th-generation farmers with 10,000 acres, couldn't get a crop loan for 2025 after 3 decades in business. They're waiting to see if bankruptcy is next, and they're not unique. Agricultural leaders warn 1 in 3 Arkansas farms will close by spring 2026 without federal emergency aid. And Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders? She's been traveling the state for months, giving speeches, taking photos, operating cotton pickers, promising to help in any way we can. But when you look at what Arkansas has actually done, it's a tax exemption on federal aid farmers haven't received yet. That's it. No state emergency funds, no state disaster loans, no declaration of emergency, nothing. Sanders admits the banks can't lend, the parts stores don't sell, the equipment dealers are repossessing, and eventually there's no food on Arkansas tables. She calls this the worst farm crisis in generations. But her response is to beg President Trump for help, announce trade deals that won't help farmers this year, and tell struggling producers that help is on the way from Washington. Meanwhile, Arkansas sits on budget surpluses. Rep. Stephen Meek says the state can't print money like the federal government. But Arkansas doesn't need to print money. It has money. It just refuses to spend it on saving the industry that feeds its people and drives its economy. 1 in 3 Arkansas farms gone by spring. 60 auctions since December. 96% increase in bankruptcies. And the governor's solution is photo ops and promises while waiting for someone else to fix it. That's not leadership. That's political theater while Arkansas agriculture dies.